It's not a loss. It's just another disappointing win in this stadium. 37-27 over UAB. What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy, HawgSports, coming to you with another walk and talk. And, you don't come away from this and be like, man, Arkansas sucks. Because we saw the potential that they have last week. Like, they faltered at the end, obviously. But you're like, if they can clean this up, fix this, and improve on special teams, maybe they got some. They got the athletes and stuff. So it's not that they suck. It's that their mentality seems to just suck in this building for whatever reason since 2022. Maybe an outlier game against Ole Miss that year, but they have played so poorly in here over the years under Sam Pitman, and I don't know what it is, but you had 75,000 tickets sold for this one. It was like the biggest non-conference. There wasn't 75,000 people in here, but it was a good crowd for UAB. It really was. And these people come here expecting to see a show. And in this day and age, when you got to give the home fans something, you got to give them something because you need their NIL, you need their backing, and you got to put on a type of show against an opponent like this that keeps people coming and keeps people excited. And it's just another one in a long list. So they got Auburn next week. You're going to probably see a lot different team against Auburn because they played down to their opponent in this one. I didn't like the players' mentality starting on Tuesday, asking them questions about, what do you think about UAB schemes? What do you think about their personnel? And really didn't have any answers. Really couldn't say anything to me about it. And that to me was a little bit concerning. And, I still picked them 42-17. I saw a lot of people picking like 52-10 and stuff like that, some big margins. I just didn't feel like that was going to be a result here. And then you got guys like Alex Mortensen on the other sideline who spent a year, I think, at Arkansas under Bobby Petrino, former player here, who's offensive coordinator there. And they're just, you can tell that they got up. Maybe they heard some of the things that the players said without really even knowing anything about UAB in this one. So I just didn't like the mental approach. And I know they had some injuries and some things going on like that, but there's no reason. And on top of everything, on top of not having the right attitude going into this one, Taylon Green was off. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Taylon can be immaculate or he can have a day like this. And if they'd had a day like this against any other team from Alabama, like Auburn, who they play next week, they're gonna get it handed to them. But there's also times where this guy is really on point, and I saw it in the spring. We didn't get as much access in the fall to scrimmages and stuff like that, but I saw it in the spring where there were days where you're just like, where is he throwing this ball? And there are other days where you're just like, man, what an incredible throw. But at the same time, you've got other parts, not just Taylon Green. Like, that was a really good throw down here to Tyrone Broden. Tyrone Broden has all the tools in the world, and he's got to make that catch. It's not an easy catch, but you're an SEC athlete, and he's capable of doing it because I've seen him doing it before. I've seen him do it in practice. And the catch that, at Oklahoma State down here before the interception, that's got to be caught. You got to make that. And CJ's got to catch that ball, and they know that. But, like, if you don't make those plays and it keeps piling up, you got to look somewhere else. And right now you got Andrew Armstrong and Isaiah Satania, and you got Luke Haas too, who had, I think he had one target today. Luke Haas, your weapon, the guy that you think could be all SEC preseason, he had one, and maybe he had a little bit of a back, and you got some guys banged up. Sam Pitt was talking about you have some guys practicing in green, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But it took them a while to wake up. And when it was 17-3, I even tweeted this out that, hey, I think Arkansas is probably going to get it together and still win by a decent margin. You can define decent however you want, 10 points, whatever. Is that decent? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not what I was thinking exactly. I was thinking maybe they'd win by like 17 or something like that. But even when they were down 17-3, because I saw the way they're running the ball, they're just basically running at will. At one point it looked like Auburn offense back Nick Marshall days, not as crisp as that, but when they were just like, well, Nick can't really throw the ball, but he threw the ball well because they were so scared of him running. And maybe that's a recipe when Taylon Green has these days because they pop up. I've seen it before. It's part of his progression. He's a better quarterback than he was at Boise State. He can't, I say that, and he just had this game, but he can be so much better than what he was today. There were some reads that he missed, obviously. There was open receivers, and I think maybe there's a potential, as Sam Pitman was saying, that maybe he was pushing it a little bit. And, first time in this venue, and it was a great crowd. I was a little surprised to see them, it's 2020 at halftime. You come all the way to this game, and, so many people emptied out. But I can understand the frustration of it, a thought of like, here we go, But I never really felt, even when they were down by, 17-3, I never felt like, they were going to lose the game. I just felt like they're playing really poorly. And I wonder about that focus, that mentality, the playing down to your opponent, typical type of stuff. And what Arkansas is just barely good enough to come out and beat a team like this where they just roll the ball out and think somebody's going to make a play. You got to make the play. You got to be the guy making the play. And they identified some things I think also Arkansas really needs to address. I mean, they're using your speed against you. You know, they're dumping off to the back over and over again, and really attacking the middle of the field right around that nickel spot. And that's where they're going to miss Hudson Clark, because it sounds like Hudson's going to be out a little bit. Hudson gets some hate, but Hudson can play nickel. You know, he can play it well enough. He's got enough experience. He could help with that nickel spot, and they were really attacking Slaughter. They've got to ask some questions there. They got to ask some questions about wide receiver. Taylor Green's still the guy at quarterback, and I see some people talking about, you know, maybe Malachi, and I think Malachi's certainly capable. Maybe if there's a game that pops up on the schedule and he's having a game like this and you're playing an SEC team, maybe you say, okay, let's see what somebody else has got. Maybe one of those scenarios. But I also know that there are times where Taylor is just really, really good, and I've seen it in practice. Just times where he's really bad, and that was today too. Luckily, the guy's got unbelievable wheels, and people take terrible angles on him, and he can really move the ball on the ground. And that's something you can always go to, that you can always have. I mean, it's not a passing game, but it is with a guy like Jaquindon Jackson, who's a freaking dog. I mean, you got a workhorse type of back with Jaquindon. Is this the right way out here? I think so. I don't usually go this way. But you got a workhorse type of back in Jaquindon Jackson, who's a very big threat. And when you do that read option stuff or the RPO stuff, there's some stuff that you can get going with that if the traditional passing game isn't working. Defense, just not a very good day at all. Letting them jump out like that. I mean, if they recover that onside, that's a problem. I mean, the way they were moving the ball at that point, I'm curious if I can get out this way. So anyway, everybody's frustrated. I didn't like the way they played at all. I was worried about it going into the game. Again, I thought they would put it together. I said 42-17. I thought that they would still play a pretty decent game. I didn't expect them to just come out and just throttle them. Yeah, here we go. So mentality, that's what it comes down to me. It's like I think that they've got good enough players to potentially win some of these SEC games that they've got coming up. And what does that look like? And I would ask that too, what are you satisfied with here in year 5 under Sam Pitman? What's good enough for you when you consider? And I've said this too, when I picked them 5-7 this year, and a lot of that is not that I don't have a ton of confidence in Bobby Petrino as a play caller. It's just that I kind of wished it was year 2 with Bobby Petrino offense, because I can remember back what it was like when the first year that he got at Arkansas, and they started getting things going later in the year. But this is a do or die type of year. You got to win this year. So what's good enough for you to kind of keep things going? And you have the defensive staff. They had a bad day today. I got a lot of confidence in that defensive staff overall. I think they'll bounce back, but bad day today against UAB. And again, I think it's just playing down to your opponent. It's psyche, it's mentality. It's got to improve. I look at the schedule and say, okay, so they got 2 wins now. They're 2-1. If they play like this against Louisiana Tech, I don't even looked at Louisiana Tech really. I haven't really even looked at Louisiana Tech really, but let's just say for these purposes that they win that game. So it gets you at 3-1. So what are the other winning opportunities? I mean, you got to start with Auburn next week. It's a possibility. You got Texas A&M, who dismantled. Well, they were beating Florida pretty good the last time I looked. So I don't even know what the score of that one ended up being, but I know that they won. But that Florida team it isn't it. You talk about coaches that need to be on their way out. They're never going to get to challenge Kirby Smart in Georgia, and I know that's their standard over there with Billy Napier. But so Texas A&M in 2 weeks, there's your other option. There's your other opportunity. Mississippi State on the road is another one. So you got to win all those. I'm saying that there's a chance. I'm not even saying it's a 50-50 chance. I'm just saying it's a chance to win those, and you got to win all those to get to 6 wins. Because the other opportunities, you're talking about Tennessee coming in here, Tennessee's good. I mean, they're easy top 10. What are they, number 5 or 6 in the country, 7, something like that? If they're not, Texas is 2. And Ewers, however you say his name, looked like he was banged up. They got a pretty good backup quarterback. even if he's not able to go long term. And so you got Texas, who's number 2 nationally. You got Tennessee coming in here. Ole Miss is like number 6 nationally. Missouri's like right up there too, number 6, 7, somewhere in there. All these teams are like right there. LSU was 16th, and they won a battle with South Carolina. But there's another example of a team that played that first half and played it like they won the game because they had more energy, but it's a long race. And South Carolina found that out. LSU was just kind of steady, like just enough. Like South Carolina's just whipping them, and we're only up a few scores. You know, a couple of scores weren't up by some huge margin, but they were whipping them. Kind of like Arkansas against Oklahoma State. And there's where another thing comes into play. It's about, you know, putting your foot on their neck and putting another score and going up 3 scores on somebody and saying, you know, screw you, we're running it right down your throat. We have no mercy for you. And Arkansas can't get there. Like, if they'd have gone down there against Oklahoma State and hit that pass to Tyrone Broden, if he'd have hauled that pass in and they go up like, you know, 3 scores on those guys, that would have been a backbreaker for them. Like, that's hard to recover from. Like, this isn't a video game. This is human, you know, nature. This is a mentality here. And that, I guess that's the theme of this walk and talk, is just mentality. But, like, you got to have that kind of killer instinct. You're just going to, like, screw you guys. Like, and even today, like, you know, you had an opportunity to go up 3 scores on them and you couldn't do it. You didn't finish it. You didn't get it done. And that's just got to stop. You know, there's some sloppy stuff, obviously, here and there. But main thing to me, what stands out, and I'm not saying this about every player, because I know there's some players out there that have that, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't stop ticking. But Talon didn't play a good game, and I'm not saying that it was because of, you know, his lack of focus or mentality. I'm just saying sometimes it looks to me like he gets a little off. And I know that he's been, you know, you're working through some stuff. They say when you correct things like throwing motions and stuff like that, it takes 10 hours for every hour you do it the wrong way. Somebody said that one time, a long time ago, and it just stuck with me, but I don't even know if that's true. But, you know, there's all that 10,000 hour rules that it takes to be an expert in anything. I think that's Malcolm Gladwell, not me. I didn't say that, Gladwell did. So, anyway, yeah, just another disappointing win. 37-27. It's still a win. It's just disappointing, and I don't think it's what they're capable of. It's just disappointing, and stuff like that keeps happening, and it can't. I mean, you got to come out there and just kind of thrash a team like that and give the fans something to be entertained with and be like, yeah, all right, Bobby's back. This thing's going. Here we go. And that's not what you got at all today. So, got to go win at Auburn. Really, to have a chance, in my opinion, to get to the postseason. Like, that's a game that I didn't pick them to win in my preseason stuff. So if they can do that, you know, maybe they can get some things going. But just got to play better. Got to learn something. Maybe you get a little bit of adversity these last couple games. Maybe you realize, hey, we're not good enough just to go out there and roll the ball out and get a win. Or maybe we're just barely good enough to beat a team that, by the way, got thrashed last week by ULM. What was it, 32-6 or something? These guys lost 32-6 last weekend. Their only win was Alcorn State, who's an FCS team. So I don't know if they thought that they were playing another UAPB today and they just had to show up and think that they've done something when they hadn't done anything. They hadn't done anything. But that's the kind of attitude it felt like, you know, they had, is that we've done something and we just have to show up and win, and that ain't it. Every single play, every day defines you. That's what should be expected. I mean, that's. Am I wrong? Am I right? All right, that's it, everybody. Appreciate you joining me for the walk and talk. Sign up at HawgSports.com. Go there for all of our content, all of our coverage. Danny West, Connor Goodson, and the gang. Got you covered over there. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. Disappointing win. I guess not fire and brimstone, just disappointed more than anything. We'll catch you next time.